Hello, my name is Chell Wong, and today we're going to be starting a new series called Composer Soft Skills. I wanted to start the series because a lot of people have come up to me and asked me more about how to network and other things like that. For those of you who don't know, I network about 20 hours a week, and before the pandemic, I was still very actively going to places. Networking is something that freelancers kind of need to do in order to survive. In general, our community and our industry are actually relatively small, and I don't mean small in the sense of like there aren't too many people in there. It's small in how connected everything is. And if you're better connected to your community and your network, you will be able to thrive better as a composer or a sound designer. Without further ado, here are 5 tips about how to network better. Tip number 1 is be authentic. When people picture networking, they tend to imagine a very sterile business environment. In the games industry, it's typically a lot more relaxed. That doesn't mean there isn't a sense of business and a sense of professionalism, but it does in general mean that the environment is more relaxed. Working in games, you are talking with other game developers and you all share the same common interest, which is video games. And we got into video games because we're very passionate about them. So be yourself. People connect to other people based on shared experiences and interests. In the games industry, we're all nerds who love video games, so we all have that in common. But that's just a starting point. Whatever resonates with you, be passionate about it. For me, I also love anime, I love food. There's so many things that I can connect to other people on, so I find that it is very helpful to be authentic because then you can connect to people on a personal level. Tip number 2, do not sell. Have you ever gotten an unsolicited messages and thought, why am I getting these? I don't need this. This is something that almost every game audio person has fallen into at least once before. It is really easy to bring it way too early in the conversation. So, does your game need music? Chances are the answer is no. Now, you might think that this is a relatively harmless question, but the problem is that game audio people tend to have a very bad reputation for being overly salesy. Our field specifically is oversaturated, so game developers tend to get lots and lots of unsolicited messages from game audio people about whether or not their game needs music, even if it's very clear that they already have it. For the Kickstarter for Whisker Squadron, at least 3 different audio people reached out to the main developer and asked if we need music, and it very clearly lists that I'm on the team. Multiple times. Don't do that. Asking in person might not seem as bad, but it definitely still gives off that vibe of being an unsolicited salesperson. If you've ever gotten an email from someone trying to sell you something that you don't care about, that is what you are doing if you try and sell too soon. Selling right off the bat gives a very sleazy and personal feel. It feels desperate, and people can smell desperation a mile away and nobody wants anything to do with it. Connections take time to build. While I will mention that I'm a composer, I will never ever ask the other person if they need music for their game if it's my first interaction with them. In fact, I tend to wait quite a bit of time. There is a right time and place to ask, but definitely err on the side of waiting because jumping the gun too soon can put you on a list of bad first impressions. Tip number 3, listen twice as much as you talk. In general, I think this one is pretty straightforward. I'm someone that likes to talk a lot, and I can run my mouth about a lot of things. While conversations obviously go back and forth, if you're someone like me and you tend to run your mouth a lot, definitely err on the side of taking a step back and letting other people have control of the conversation to an extent. People feel at ease and trusted when they are listened to. It doesn't mean to tune them out. It means to be passive but listening. An active listener is someone that can respond to the person who's talking to them, but not steer the conversation into a different direction. Being an active listener helps build trust, and trust goes a long way. Tip number 4, be consistent. I network a lot, and I have met over 1,000 people in this industry. I've met so many people just once. And if I've only met you once, there's a very good chance that I don't actually remember you. Those who regularly go to events will be able to be more recognizable. And don't worry, there are plenty of online communities and events that you can go to. There are so many in Discord, and you can start there if you want somewhere to begin. But being a regular member in a community takes consistency. It's really important to meet new people, but I would say it's really important to meet the same people multiple times. It doesn't hurt to have a lot of weak connections, but it's better to have a couple of strong connections where you can really trust and rely on people. And tip number 5, have social media presence. This one might not be the most necessary, and you might disagree, but I do think that social media has its strengths, despite its weaknesses. While places are opening up more in person, we're still going to have plenty of places online. And in general, we're still not going to be able to connect with people on a super duper daily basis. If you're really close to people, you might be spending every day or every couple of days with someone, and at that point, you're already very connected to them. But typically, especially if you're a creative, it helps to have a place where you can be social online and share your work. In my opinion, I personally prefer Twitter, though I also have an Instagram. Some people love Instagram and prefer it over Twitter infinitely more. I personally find it very difficult to interface with on a regular basis. And some people use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a place where some people can thrive on and other people don't find very useful at all, but it doesn't hurt in my opinion to have. I just use it as a way to kind of regularly update my resume as well as only post my most professional things. However, social media also has the word social in it. On Twitter, I share my own work, but I also use it as a way to interact with friends that I've made through networking. Interacting with people is another way to help strengthen your bonds. Sometimes I'm very silly on Twitter, sometimes I'm professional, but in general, what's really important is that you also want to be able to uplift those that you've met through networking. You can't expect people to support you if you're not supporting others yourself. We're all in this together. So thank you everybody for tuning in to my first video about composer soft skills and how to network better. If you like this video, please let me know. Comment, like, smash the buttons, do the thing. You know the things. I don't know, you know. If you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out to me at Chelwong Audio. And if you have any suggestions about videos and topics that you want me to cover, please leave them in the comments. I read every single one of them. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day and a better time networking out there.